In the next 10 minutes, I will share with you what took me 10 years to learn about sustainably growing a business. I will show you what it takes to actually grow a profit that remains stable, that doesn't go up and down with the booms and busts of the economy, but actually is sustainable. I will show you how. Have you heard of the story of a man that finds a huge treasure, but he's unable to actually profit from the treasure because he's not able to take all the gold coins and the gold chalices that he has found, the golden crowns, because he was lacking the capacity to carry the treasure home. He didn't have a bag, he didn't have any carriage to put in the gold, so he could only take two fistful of gold, two objects. And that is the same with what I will show you today. The theory of constraint is what so many business owners overlook. The theory of constraint states that the output can only be as high as the input, right? And I will show you, I'll give you an example to clarify that, to make visual what that happens. So imagine you have a business. So on one of the axes, we have the demand. So we have customer demand. So that could be low, right? And we have high demand on the right hand side. The demand goes up something like this. The question is, what happens if you are limited by producing a product or by delivering a specific service to your customer? It means you have a very specific limit in what you can actually provide your customers. This is your constraining factor, right? This is your constraining factor, because this is the area that you can actually provide services to your customer, but that's about it, because above that area you do not have any capacity. So the theory of constraint states that if you have a constraining factor in your business, which in this case is limiting serving the higher demand in this part of the graph, that means your business is limited. Your business cannot grow in profit, your business cannot grow in revenue, and that is an issue. And I will show you how to solve for that. So the question always is, what is the constraining factor in your business? Is it your human resources? For example, in order to grow your revenue, you need to grow a greater sales team. You currently have 5 people working for you, but you need to grow to 10 or even 15 salespeople in order to grow that revenue, right? So what is holding you back? It is all about taking the time to look at a detailed analysis of your situation. So let me give you an example. So imagine you find the issue being in your team, right? So you have a team, you currently have 5 salespeople. And of those 5 salespeople, they can all generate you 10K of revenue per month. So they're actually making you 50K revenue per month. Okay. The question is, you want to grow your revenue you want to 4x your revenue. So it means, in theory, you would need to have 4 times as much salespeople. That means you would need to have 20 salespeople. And you know that every salesperson costs around, let's say they earn 100K a year, to simplify the example. So this is their salary, and if you need 20 salespeople, you need 100K times 20 is 2 million. So you just need you need $2 million in order to be able to pay for your salespeople, right? Okay. So we have this scenario, and the question now is, how can we solve for the constraining factor of going from 5 salespeople to 20 salespeople? Well, the answer is quite simple. Just hire more people. But how do you hire more people if you do not have the money to pay for their salaries? Then your constraining factor in this situation is very simple, is a lack of cash. So in this situation, you have identified that your constraining factor in your business is a lack of cash. Well, in most businesses, a lack of cash is indeed the constraining factor, because once you have cash, you can buy a bigger team, you can buy more assets, you can do whatever you want. So the question is, how can you solve for that lack of cash? The question is not how can you solve for the lack of cash, but how can we eliminate the constraining factors? So in this case, it might be a lack of cash, but there might be even a more deeply underlying cause to the lack of cash. It could be that perhaps the business in of itself has a positive cash flow, so the business actually makes, let's say, 10 million a year in cash and spends, let's say it spends 11 a year, meaning that it has a 1 million cash deficit, right? So that's they're lacking 1 million cash every year in order, for example, to grow the business. But of these 11, you can save 2.5 million in a year if you just find a way to cut expenses, for example, or find a way to repay a salary based on this performance, based on the revenue. Just to give you 2 examples. So the idea is that, to show it in a visual, is that you have your the tier of constraint states that you have your constraining factor, which is underlying. So first you go to reason 1, then you dig deeper into reason 2, and you dig even deeper into reason 3, and that is basically how you find the true underlying theory of constraint. And more often than not, the actual constraining factor is not 1 level deep, not 2 level, but even 3 or even 4 or even 5 levels deeper. And that is what it takes to actually solve for a constraining factor in a business. And that is what differentiates a company that grows sustainably versus a company that grows like this. So imagine you have your revenue. This is year 0 and this is year 10. So if you have a revenue that does this, up and then down and then up and then down and up and then down and up and then down, the average trend would be something like this. So that isn't actually a stable revenue. And also based from a valuation perspective, a stable revenue is worth more than a highly fluctuating one. So if you compare that to a revenue that perhaps goes up more slowly upwards, but is much more stable, and in the end arrives at an average that is above that, when your business perhaps seems to be growing much more here than it does here, right? So if this would be year 1, if you would look at the analysis of year 1, you would think that, oh, we had an $8 million revenue this year, but in the other scenario, we only had 2 million here, right? So in this situation, you might be thinking, well, the business is not going well, we're not growing sustainably. But actually, if you look at it from the perspective of year 2, right? So that would be here, year 2, you would see that here we already have a much higher revenue. We have a $3 million revenue. Whilst in this situation, we only have a $1 million revenue. Just to give you an idea of how actually sustainability is achieved through small incremental improvements by solving the problem that is, and not solving for a problem that isn't, such as, for example, a lack of marketing. Most probably, you won't have a lack of marketing in your business. Most probably, you're already spending money on your marketing efforts, doing the best you can, and it therefore isn't a lack of communicating your message of your product and service to the market. Probably it isn't that, what is lacking. Most probably it is that you're not solving for the constraining factor. So just to give you one last example to really drive home the point I'm trying to make here is that, okay, imagine you sell lemonades at a lemonade stand, okay, and it is a very warm sunny day, and you have a lemon stand, okay, that sells these beautiful juicy lemon jugs with lemon, right? Okay, so let me just draw you up some lemonade stand, okay, and you have a lot of people, okay, you have 200 people that want to buy from you, but the problem is that your production capacity, your manufacturing capacity is capped at, let's say, 50 lemonades per hour. So you can make 50 lemonades per hour. You can give 50 people to drink, meaning that your capacity per hour, you can only serve of those 200, you can only serve 50 an hour, meaning that you would need 4 hours. You would need 4 hours in order to serve all of these 200 people. So your constraining factor in this situation, not the fact that you do not have enough oranges, because you have enough oranges sitting around in this basket. In this situation, we have enough oranges, but in this case, the situation is that it takes you an hour to create 50 lemons, to create 50 lemonades. So in this situation, the constraining factor is most probably yourself, is the labor that it takes to convert these lemons into tasty lemonades. And therefore, your constraining factor initially seems perhaps that you that the capacity seems perhaps that it is related to something else, right? You could think of perhaps, okay, I do not have enough lemonades, but it has most probably to do with labor. So just to give you a simple example to drive this home, to drive this point home. And I think that once you learn this concept, once you learn the concept of applying the theory of constraints, looking and solving for and identifying and analyzing the factor that constrains your business, that is when you will truly build a sustainable growth in your business. And I mean, look at your own business. If you have one, what is currently holding you back from actually growing without having to perform any marketing activities, right? Without having to put out more ads, without having to acquire more leads, without having to buy new machines. What is currently limiting your growth, your sustainable growth? If you manage to answer that question, you will be ahead. I can guarantee you will be ahead of many businesses. And how can you apply this method? I love the concept of thinking time. It's taking 30 to 60 minutes a week, shutting off your phone, your laptop, your computer, whatever, every communication. You just grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, grab a pencil, and start to brainstorm every possible constraining factor in your business that is currently limiting you from growing. Is it perhaps financial resources? Is it perhaps human resource? Is it perhaps physical resources, inventory, if you're in manufacturing business? So in any case, have a thinking time session. Take the time to truly think. Write down the ideas that come first to mind, and then go one level deeper, 2 levels deeper, 3, 4, 5, until you arrive at the root cause. I can assure you, if you perform that thinking time session, you will find the results that you're truly after. So I really hope you found this video valuable. Please, if you did, subscribe, because that really helps this channel to grow and see what works and what doesn't. And if you want to see more of this, leave behind a comment, leave behind a like. And I have another video that you can have a look at how actually building a business that is based on purpose will give you even more financial result than you might be thinking. And well, I think that's it for today. So again, thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.